Hey everybody, and welcome to another Modern Tribe screencast. If you've watched any of these in the past, you'll know that my name is Rob, and that I walk through these usually with meticulous detail, covering all the basics of what our plugins have to offer. This one is going to be a little bit different though, and let me tell you why. First off, it's going to be far more informal than the ones you've seen in the past. Second, I'm going to be moving substantially quicker than I have in many of our screencasts in the past. And third, this one is geared specifically to participants in our Events Calendar 3.0 beta. I'm not going to be going over all the functionality of the plugin, but instead I'm going to be going over those features or changes that we've made that we would specifically like you guys to focus on in your beta testing. That doesn't mean you shouldn't test the plugins in full. We would love to have feedback from people who have tested every aspect of the Events Calendar and of Pro, but what I am specifically going to be covering in this screencast are the major tweaks or changes that you might not be aware of, which we'd like to see you play around with because either they're not as tested as we'd like them to be, they haven't had any outside eyes beyond our team, etc. Things that we are not fully confident in shipping to the mass public with that we need your help on. Right here I'm on Pro.Tribe, which is the site that we have been doing basically all of our QA and development work on. The whole team has access to this. You are not going to run your beta on Pro.Tribe. Your beta will still be done either locally or on a site that you've designated independently, but for the purpose of this screencast, I'm going to use it as my base. And you'll notice when I come to the main events page, one of the first things I see that wasn't here previously is this events panel. You would not have seen this in any previous incarnations of the plugin, and even if you first activate the Events Calendar and Events Calendar Pro, you're also not going to see this. Here's why. It is its own third plugin that you are going to need to turn on alongside Core and Pro. It's this The Events Calendar Advanced Filter Views. When I'm sending you the email with the beta instructions this afternoon, it's going to include not one, not two, but three plugins, the Events Calendar, the Filters, and Pro. And so you need to make sure that you have all of them activated to be able to see those filters. You'll notice that when I turn off the Filters plugin here and go back and refresh my front-end calendar, everything looks the same except, understandably, that left-hand column is gone. If you're not seeing the left-hand column, 99% odds are this is your fault, the lack of the Advanced Filter Views plugin being active, and you can fix it just by coming back, turning it on, and it should be all good. Going back to the front end here, we also have a handful of new views that we would love to get some feedback on because we haven't, again, had them out in the wild in any capacity yet. Month and list have always existed in Core, although we have modified them somewhat substantially here. Day view previously existed for Pro users, although that too has been modified somewhat substantially. And then week, map, and photo view are all totally new. Map and photo in particular, there might be some quirks with, so we'd like to get some feedback on those, but the more you can bang on any of these, the better. If you for some reason would like to disable or enable certain of those from appearing on the front end, you can come into your event settings back here, click into this display tab, and scroll down to the event layouts where you can check and uncheck the ones that you want to appear and hide respectively. If you want to set the default layout, which is whatever somebody lands on when they come to you or your site URL/events, do that via this dropdown and make sure to save your changes below. Another new setting that we added, which has direct implications on the front end, is under the General tab, this live Ajax filtering. Now, when we ship the finished product of 3.0, this is going to be enabled by default because we want users to be using this. It makes for a more seamless experience on the front end, and your readers will, by and large, enjoy it more than having to take the extra step of clicking to apply all their filters. But in the version that you're receiving today, this is not going to be checked. So you're going to have to come in here, make sure to turn it on, and save changes for it to be reflected on the front end. Once you do, you'll see that your events content using the sidebar filters and the event bar across the top, the changes are made immediately. If I select a category, I don't have to hit any submit button, it reflects immediately. If I want to filter the cost, I don't have to press the submit button, it reflects immediately, and so on and so forth. I can always reset filters using this button right here, but the live filtering allows you to save time by not having to come in and hit a submit button every time you want to apply a change. That being said, if for whatever reason you don't want to use the live Ajax, you can turn it off, save changes, and you'll notice that when you come back to the front end and view your events page, there is actually a submit button that needs to be hit to apply whatever changes you've made. But again, since we're shipping with it on and since we are hoping users will use it, please do QA more with it enabled than with it disabled. The fourth aspect I want to run through, and this is going to be the last on this whirlwind tour of the new functionality, is in general we have striven, whatever, to make the latest version of the plugin compatible with as many themes as possible. The default events template, which we've always had, is still present. The default page template is also here, and in the past, if you've had problems with one view, we've said go switch to the other. If your theme has its own templates, they will also be included in the drop-down here. But we also have these new style sheet options, the full style sheet, which will override your current theme styles, and the skeleton style sheet, which won't, in which your theme generally takes priority. We are very much looking forward to seeing what type of feedback people come up with on this, particularly those who are using themes beyond just 2010, 2011, and 2012. Custom themes, whether you've built them yourself or bought them from a theme vendor, those are the type of things that we would really like to see feedback on this. The majority of our development has been done on 2010, 2011, and 2012, and by seeing how this interacts on custom advanced themes, we'll get a feel for how well these new settings regarding the style sheets, particularly we've implemented, really are. I know I went through a lot here, and again, don't let this limit what you do your QA or your beta testing on. As much as you want to test, we'd love it. These are just some things that we could use some fresh eyes on, and we could get some feedback that would help make the finished product a better thing. Thanks a lot to everybody. Sorry for my informalness on this one. Enjoy.